transforming conflict. 5. Be aware of the roles previous marginalization may play in heightened conflict. Diversity-related conflict can be heightened when individuals who have been subject to bias in the past act defensively when others challenge their expertise. While you might not understand their defensiveness, the person with whom you're speaking may have faced microaggressions related to this issue for several years prior to this particular conflict. 6. When possible, address issues as a team. This will reinforce the idea that working together is a priority. Ensure that team members know that it's safe and acceptable for them to provide input, and that more than this, their input is welcome. The exception to this is when there is an actionable case of verbal or physical abuse or the threat of harm. 7. Provide clarity in communication, roles, and procedures. Since ambiguity is a key contributor to conflict, part of establishing clarity in communication can involve creating formal guidelines for civil discourse, which require that everyone be treated with respect and that good intentions from others are assumed. 8. Don't put it off. Tackling difficult issues immediately can help keep them from becoming larger, more problematic, and more impactful. The sooner conflict is dealt with, the better. I've experienced conflict with a coworker who expressed unwillingness to work with African Americans. Complaints to supervisors have been completely ineffective. I don't know how I'm supposed to deal with this situation. Coping with negative conflict. Sometimes, in spite of your best efforts, negative conflict takes place. When this happens, it's best to identify the parameters of the conflict and then implement the following steps to resolve the situation. Adaptation, mediation, structural intervention, and removal. Adaptation. Use adaptation when team members have the communication skills required to manage a discussion of differences. Encourage team members to acknowledge their differences and figure out how to adapt. Ask them to update you on what they discussed and what new guidelines they've agreed to for better collaboration. Observe the relationship for signs of improvement. Mediation. Use mediation when team members have not successfully resolved the conflict on their own, or they appear to lack the communication skills to manage the difficult conversation on their own. Facilitate a discussion with team members about their conflict. Explore emotions and propose options to help them work together better. Structural intervention. Use structural intervention when mediation and other attempts to resolve conflict have been unsuccessful and team members remain defensive, feel nervous, or cling to negative stereotypes of others. Reorganizing the team to reduce friction or conflict, for instance, by subdividing tasks or forming more cooperative subgroups. Removal. Use removal when a team member actively discriminates against someone and refuses to adopt inclusive behavior despite intervention. Document the situation and consult with your human resources representative. In extreme cases, your company may choose to remove the employee from the organization. When conflict feels destructive or intolerable, or a situation requires immediate action, inclusion expert Lenora Billings-Harris has proposed a 4-step technique for resolving issues. The STOP, or STOP technique, suggests that the person desiring to address an issue or behavior take the following steps. S. State the behavior that caused the offense objectively and unemotionally. This should be a behavior, something said or done, not an attitude or belief. If the behavior is not specific enough to measure or describe, it's probably not clear enough to approach the offender. T. Tell the person how you feel. Mention whether the behavior makes you feel hurt, angry, excluded, or some other feeling. State the feeling from the position of ownership without blaming the other individual for making you feel this way. O. Options. Offer options and suggestions to replace the unacceptable behavior, which allows a person to educate the offender without showing additional disrespect. P. Positive results. State what the offender has to gain if the behavior is changed. How will the relationship become more positive? In implementing these steps, avoid blame and conclude with a question. Are you willing to help me with this? This requires a simple response and offers the offender an opportunity to collaborate. It's also essential to acknowledge changed behavior when it happens. Conflict is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be destructive. Conflict can be a stepping stone to developing stronger relationships, better solutions, and brighter ideas. Conflict can help us reinforce our common thread. Thank you.